Hi, this is Miss Kalman, and this is your first flipped classroom homework assignment. Today we are going to learn how to round decimals and how to add and subtract decimals. Before we get started, let's just go through some of the directions. The first thing is you had to go to my website and you had to click on the video link, which if you're listening to my voice right now, you are able to do that. The next is you're going to watch this video, and as you watch the video, you're going to complete the note-taking guide that was distributed in class. And as the video plays, you can always feel free to pause to take notes and watch as many times as needed. And the last part, after you feel confident with the material, you're going to continue on to the key assignment. First step is rounding decimals. So to get started, when we round decimals, the first thing that you're going to do is you need to identify certain place values within the number. Rounding decimals is a really important skill to kick off our decimal unit. So the first example that we are going to learn how to round decimals is we're going to round to the nearest tenths place, and it's really important to note which place value you're rounding to. So please write tenths place on the line. And for our example, we are going to round the number 9 and 657 thousandths. And you can see I reminded you of place value right up here, and please include this on your note-taking guide as well, that the 9 is in the ones place value, the 6 is in the tenths place value, the 5 is in the hundredths place value, and the 7 is in the thousandths place value. And we are rounding to the nearest tenths place. And just to remind you, that would be the 6 right here. And so your answer will be cut off here. Whenever you're rounding to a particular place value, your answer will never be beyond that. But this 5 is really important, and I'm going to highlight it because that is what we call our deciding number. And with our deciding number, and I'm going to move that right here, right near the 5. And with our deciding number, it's really important because it tells us if we are going to give 6 a shove or leave it low. So I always use the rhyme, 5 or above, give it a shove, 4 or below, leave it low. And that applies to the deciding number. So it's 5 or above, give it a shove, 4 or below, leave it low. And that is my little rhyme that goes to the deciding number. So since 5 is 5 or above, that means we're going to give 6 a shove, and our answer is 9.7. Next example. So we're going to round 2 and 354 thousandths to the nearest hundredths place value. So right now, 5 is in the hundredths place value. 4 is my deciding number, and I'm going to use the rhyme 5 or above, give it a shove, 4 below, leave it low, and I'm going to leave it low, so the answer is 2 and 35 hundredths. You can flip over your note-taking guide, and right now we are going to do adding and subtracting decimals. With adding and subtracting decimals, you must line up the decimal points, and we kind of touched on this today in the warm-up. So the example for number 1 is 5 and 4 tenths plus 4 and 5 tenths plus 5 and 78 hundredths. So you can see in my work over here, I line them up. And for this spot here, you might want to add in a 0 because it's kind of like hanging out and you might want to balance it a bit. So we're just going to put this 0 right here just as a placeholder. And you can see 0 plus 8, 8. 5 plus 7, 12. And I put the 2 here, carried the 1 and 10. And of course, decimal point, decimal point, decimal point. And my final answer is 10 and 28 hundredths. Next example, example 2. This one we're going to start with a subtracting problem. 6 and 7 tenths minus 4 and 68 hundredths. Order matters in subtraction. So it is really important that the first number here is the first number on top over here. So you can see I put in that extra 0 as a placeholder. I need to borrow when I'm subtracting. So I crossed off the 0 and put a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. When I borrowed, I crossed off the 7 and put a 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. Decimal point, decimal point, decimal point. And 6 minus 4 is 2, making my final answer 2 2/100ths. Our third example, 10 minus 5 67/100ths. So in the work, you're going to put 10 on the top and 5 67/100ths on the bottom. It is assumed after every whole number that you have a decimal point right here. That decimal point is really important because it tells you how to line up the numbers. And you can see I had a whole lot of borrowing here. The first 0 changed to a 10, the second 0, 9, third 0, 9, and the 1 changed to a 0. When I subtracted, 10 minus 7 is 3, 9 minus 6 is 3, decimal point, decimal point, decimal point. 9 minus 5 is 4. So your final answer is 4 33/100ths. At this point, you can rewatch any part of this video, or you can move on to the KIA questions. Please don't forget to show your calculation work on the bottom of your note-taking guide. See you in class tomorrow.